I got a call a while back from an agent who's been doing this for 20 years. Normally closes 20 to 25 deals a year. That year, zero. And I asked him why. He hadn't tried anything new. He told me, and this is close to word for word, I'm doing 80 to 90,000 without spending $1 on marketing. Why should I start now? 20 years in the business, and he was measuring a marketing system against zero. Not against his own time, not against the fact that he was sitting at 0 deals while he said it, against zero. That conversation is basically the whole video. I want to walk you through what I actually see when I talk to agents who are already good at this. Not beginners, not people who need convincing that real estate is a real job. Producing agents, because the thing that's capping you isn't what you think. It's not effort. I'm not selling you on anything for a while yet. I've had some version of the exact conversation a few hundred times at this point. So let me just tell you what I actually hear underneath the surface of these complaints and what I think is really going on. Here's the pattern that took me the longest to actually see. It's not that the agents doing 15 deals a year are stuck. It's the agents doing 25 to 30 deals. I know of an agent that's in the top 1% of her market who has sat at almost exactly the same $200,000 to $250,000 in GCI for 3 years straight. Every year she gets better at the job, but the number doesn't move. 3 years. And here's the myth I actually want to kill, because everyone gets this backward. We assume that the ceiling is a skill problem. Get better, work harder, take another course, and the number goes up eventually. But watch what happens to agents like her. They get more competent every single year, but the income stays completely flat. If this were a skill problem, more skill would fix it. It doesn't. It's not a skill problem. Your ceiling was never how good you are at your job. It's about how many people already know you. And that number doesn't grow just because you get better at closing. Before the next two stories, let me hit you with the 3 lines I hear on repeat, because there's a decent chance you've said at least one of them yourself. I'm already doing fine. Why would I start now? You just heard where that one actually leads. Line 2, I tried paid leads once. They were garbage. I hear this from agents who ran ads themselves for 2 to 3 months, got one rough batch of leads, and decided the entire channel doesn't work. That's like trying one restaurant, having a bad meal, and deciding you're never going to eat out again for the rest of your life. Crazy, right? One attempt run by someone doing it for the very first time with no system behind it isn't a verdict on the channel. It's a verdict on the one attempt. Line 3, and this one's actually funny once you've heard it enough times. I'll pay you when it actually produces a deal. Agents want marketing to work exactly like referrals. Free until it delivers. No risk, no investment. But a referral isn't actually free. You paid for it with years of doing a good job for someone for free, on your own time, hoping they'd eventually think of you. That's not free. That's just a cost you stop noticing because you've been paying for it for so long. Here's the thing that took me a while to actually put into words. But once I did, agents stopped arguing with me about it. When your business runs on referrals and content, you don't own anything. You're renting your pipeline from your own repetition, one favor at a time. Every deal is somebody deciding to think about you on their schedule for free. That's not a system. That's a landlord who can raise the rent to infinite whenever they feel like it. I know of an agent 25 years in the business, used to close 80 to 90 deals a year at his peak. Now he's down to 25. He still sends out 5,000 to 6,000 paper mailers a month by hand. Basically, he's got a database of 14,000 names sitting in basically a filing cabinet because nothing's actually working that list for him. He's not lazy. A man who mails 6,000 pieces of paper a month is not lazy. He's renting attention from people who used to know him. And that rent keeps going up while the responses keep going down. 14,000 contacts and he still doesn't know where his next deal is coming from. That is the one that actually surprised me, and I don't think anyone talks about it. I spoke to a 20-year agent who told me flat out that he doesn't follow up with his own leads more than once. I asked him why. He said he didn't want to seem desperate. Sit with that for a sec. A brand new agent will call a lead 5 times and text them twice because they've got nothing to lose. A 20-year-old veteran, someone with actual reputation in their market, will let a real lead go cold because following up too much feels beneath them. That's not a laziness problem. That's the status protecting itself. The more successful you get, the more your own ego quietly talks you out of doing the unglamorous stuff that actually keeps a pipeline moving. Nobody warns you about that part of getting good at this job. It's a tax that only successful agents pay. So here's what's actually going on underneath all three of those. It was never about hustle. The guy mailing 6,000 pieces of paper a month is working plenty hard. It's that referrals and organic content are rented, finite asset with a hard ceiling built in two things: the size of your network and your own ego. No amount of extra efforts expands either one. You can be the best agent in your market and still be capped, because the ceiling was never about how good you are. It's about the mechanism you're using to reach people and whether you actually own that mechanism or you're just hoping it keeps paying rent. So what actually moves that number? Not hacks, 3 real shifts, and I want to tie each one back to the story it actually solves. 1, you need a lead source you own, not one that you're renting from your own repetition. Something that runs whether or not your last client happens to think of you today. Think of it almost like a funnel with real numbers attached to it. Out of everyone who sees you, a chunk responds, a smaller chunk actually engages, and a handful are ready to talk right now. If you own that mechanism, you can watch it, measure it, and improve it. If you're renting your pipeline from referrals, there's no funnel to look at. There's just hoping. That's the fix to 2. The follow-up can't live in your ego or your memory. Remember the agent that couldn't call twice because it felt desperate? That's not a discipline problem that you can solve by trying harder. It's a human problem you fix by taking the decision out of your own hands entirely. Something that touches every lead the same way every single time, regardless of how you happen to feel about it that day. That's the fix to story 3. People need to already know you a little before you ever call them. This is the piece that actually dissolves the ego problem instead of just working around it. It's not desperate to follow up with someone who's already seen your face and already expects to hear from you. It only feels desperate when you're cold reaching out to someone who has zero context for who you are. Change the context before the call and the whole psychological trap disappears on its own. That's the fix to story 1, 2, and 3 all at once. None of that is actually complicated, and none of it is about working harder. It's about noticing that the number you've been staring at for 1, 2, 3 years isn't a reflection of your skill. It's a reflection of a mechanism that was never built to grow past a certain point, no matter who happens to be running it. If you've watched this far and your number keeps moving every year genuinely, you don't need this. Keep doing what you're doing. But if you're sitting at the same number for a while, even though you know you've gotten better, that's not a coincidence. And it's not you. It's actually worth sitting with that distinction for a second, because most agents spend years blaming themselves for a ceiling that was built into the mechanism from day one. You can't fix a structural problem by feeling worse about your effort. You fix it by changing what the effort is actually pointing at. I run a company called Sell More Homes. We build exactly what I just described. A lead source you actually own, follow-up that doesn't depend on your ego or memory, and trust that's built before the first call instead of during it. It's for agents who are already good at this job and are just tired of a business capped by who happens to know them. If that's you, book a call with us. Links below. There's no pitch waiting for you there either. We're just gonna look at your actual numbers and tell you whether this would move the needle for you. And if it wouldn't, we'll tell you that too. I'd rather tell you the truth than have you become one more agent who's tried something new and decided the whole category doesn't work. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more videos like this where I help agents grow their business with online ads and AI. And until next time, sell more homes.